Hi, welcome to the Blue Book's Week in Review. This is Greg Johnson with Blue Book, and I'm joined by retail editor Pamela Riemenschneider, who's not in her office. She's in a moving vehicle. Pamela,
I'm
where
not
in the
driving.
country are you?
I am not driving, first of all. Carlos is driving. Everyone say hi to Carlos. I am in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, and we have been spent the week visiting Blue Book members and talking about what we have to offer here, and then also getting boots on the ground, boots in the mud, a little bit to see how the crops are doing for some produce with Pamela videos. So we've gotten to see quite a bit. I dragged Carlos out to a cabbage field, some onion fields, radishes. We were down right at the border. We were at the Rio Grande because they've got some stuff going on there that's getting ready to start. And it's been a really fascinating trip.
So one of the big stories, of course, between Mexico and the United States is the tomato suspension agreement. And you heard a little more questions than answers in the Valley this week, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, we just drove past an HEB, if anyone saw that in the background. We're going to talk about that in a minute. More questions than answers. There was a meeting on Tuesday about with shippers for tomatoes, talking about what's going to happen when the inspections start for the new tomato suspension agreement. And from what I've heard from shippers that I talked to who were there are more questions than answers. We don't know exactly how much this is going to cost. We don't know exactly how many inspectors are available, although they did say that they have added to the ranks of inspectors here in the Valley. So we're in a wait and see on this too. Everyone I talked to who went to the meeting still doesn't know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think there's going to be a lot of sorting out, both from the government end and the private business. There might be some rules out there that companies will find they need to adjust to before the inspection or government rules will change. They might just have to do things less than optimally in short term.
Yeah, and I even talked to someone today, a shipper, about long term, how this could affect what's going on with tomatoes even coming in from Mexico in general. And they say they may even diversify into something else, into cucumbers or bell peppers. And then someone else even speculated that doing this is laying the groundwork for more regulation when it comes to those commodities as well.
That's certainly possible. It's really hard to think long term when stuff changes on a day-to-day or at least week-to-week basis.
I know, and we'll be following up on this, I'm sure, at least in the next week or two. I have a couple of folks I plan to talk to who maybe have some more answers. So, well, it's something to watch, and definitely something that everyone's still got questions about.
Well, back to our website. Yeah, back to our website. One of our highest stories, reader interest, of course, was Richard Smoley's tale of comparing Penny Crisp to Cosmic Crisp, which we touched on last week. But this week there was a retail survey that was pretty fun by a consumer data science company called dunnhumby, who ranked the top retailers in the country by the 7-pillar system. And not surprisingly, a very good regional player came out on top, and one that you just drove by moments ago.
Yeah, for sure. HEB. So HEB got high marks on this list for price and quality, and that's something that, as a consumer, a lot of people equate with them. I just saw another HEB truck. It'd be funny if you could actually see out the window and see how much of a presence HEB has here in South Texas. We drove by their receiving distribution center here this morning, and I said, "Oh yeah, hey, look, there's the HEB there." So I have seen it all over social media. It would be really interesting to take a look at who else made that list. Greg, did you see anyone else on there?
Who else made the list?
Yeah, who else was up there?
Well, number 2 was Trader Joe's, followed by Amazon, Market Basket, Wegmans, Costco, Aldi, Sam's Club, Walmart, Publix. That's the top 10.
No, go ahead. There's no surprises there for me on a lot of those. But to see Market Basket actually rank so high when they're such an intensely regional retailer. They're based in Massachusetts, and they're not much farther out of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. So that was an interesting one to me.
Yeah, the survey said they looked at consumers, 7,000 consumers over the course or around the entire country. But one thing that stood out to me kind of in the fine print was that the two factors that determined higher rankings and consumer preference were quality and price, as by far the ones out there. But it had an item in the survey that I thought was really interesting. It said, it isn't until annual household incomes reach 200,000 per year that consumers favor quality in the value core.
Really?
Yeah, and so another part in there, they point out that the value oriented chains have been growing more the last few years, and there's no question about it. And seeing Aldi on that list, along with Walmart, some of the lower price options, really shouldn't surprise us.
Well, and if you think about it, who has Aldi been going after ever since they started this, spending a couple $1 billion on flipping stores and adding more to its profile, to its lineup? Aldi's not going after more discount shoppers. Aldi's going after Main Street shoppers, trying to get more of them into their stores, and I think it's working.
Yeah, I agree. They totally are. There's no question, because I've become more of a Aldi shopper myself because it's a close store and the quality of produce has increased so much over the last 5 years.
I mean, when I was a kid, Aldi didn't even have produce. So they've already made major strides, and then adding to their lineup. I actually drove a half an hour to shop at an Aldi last week. So it's one that should be on everyone's radar, and we actually had a really in-depth article about Aldi this summer in Produce Blueprints, so people can go check that one out too.
Yeah, they certainly can. Just keyword search Aldi in the search bar at the top of the homepage.
All right, what's next?
We're done.
Okay, we're done. I think we should wrap it up. And, Richard did his Cosmic Crisp test. I've got a fridge full of premium apples waiting for me when I get home tonight. So I'm going to put my family through it, and we'll see which apple reigns supreme in my kitchen next week for the Produce Reporter.
That sounds good. I'm looking forward to hearing how it goes.
All right. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you should go to producebluebook.com and sign up. See you later.